Greetings, my scattered sisters and brothers in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that His presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might face today. Well, we continue on in 1 Peter chapter 4. Today we're working with verse 8. Above all, love each other deeply, or keep loving each other fervently, because love covers over a multitude of sins. And so not only are we supposed to make sure that we act with good judgment so that that doesn't come between us and God in our prayers, but when it comes to our relationships with each other, that we are to love each other deeply, that we are continue to fervently love each other, because love covers over a multitude of sins. This passage reminds me of days when I did some construction. We do the framing, and if there was a mistake with the framing, maybe it didn't look so good or look so professional, we'd figure, well, the drywall is going to cover that. And if the drywall didn't quite go right, we would say, well, the mud's going to cover that. And if the mud didn't go quite right, we'd say, well, the paint's going to cover that. And if the paint didn't go quite right, we'd say, well, we'll hang a picture there. Some drapes will cover that. So always something covering a mistake, and to eventually it's going to look okay, it's going to be all right, it's going to be good. And love is that way, that as we fervently love each other, love covers over a multitude of sins. And yes, there are a lot of things where maybe we say something we wish we wouldn't have said and it hurts somebody. Maybe we try to do an act of kindness, and that act of kindness ends up actually causing damage. And now we got a bigger problem when maybe even our motives were right. Sometimes our tongues get the best of us. Sometimes we're having a bad day and we say things or do things we shouldn't have done. And we sin against each other and we do things that are damaging to the relationship. But if we love fervently, the love is going to cover over all that. And the love is going to overcome whatever the damage was, whatever the hurt was, whatever the mistake was. The love will be greater. And so Peter's saying, look, I know you're not perfect, but love one another fervently. That as you keep on loving each other deeply, that love is going to overcome a multitude of sins. So, again, I go back to construction. You know, the framing didn't go right, you fix it, and maybe it doesn't look the prettiest, but hey, we're going to cover that with drywall. And if the drywall ends up being a little bit botched up, hey, no worries, we're going to cover that with mud. And if the mud is a little bit rough, well, that's going to get painted. And worst case scenario, we got paintings and we got drapes, but it's going to be covered and it's going to look all right. And same thing with our relationships. If we keep slapping love on top of the mistakes, on top of the sins, if we keep putting love over it, it's going to be all right. It's going to work out. It's going to be good. And so wherever you find yourself scattered today, love each other fervently, because that love will cover over a multitude of sins. God bless. Have a loving day.